This is Steve Zeltzer with KPFA WorkWeek Radio, and we're talking with Rebecca Tsai. She's with Cathay Dragon's Flight Attendants Association. She's the president of the union, and she has been fired, sacked recently, which she feels, and the union feels, is a form of intimidation and repression against flight attendants. So welcome to WorkWeek Radio, Rebecca.
Hello. Oh.
So where do we start? It's been a long struggle in Hong Kong. Why don't you talk about the conditions of the flight attendants and the recent developments, what's been happening in the last month or so?
Since June, I'm sure everyone knows that all the Hong Kong people stand out to fight against the extradition bill. And so many our colleagues also go for those protests. And in August, the CAAC, the China Aviation Authority, they tried to give a warning to Cathay. And they issued a very serious warning to Cathay. They said since the 10th of August, CAAC need to show if their employees, whoever support or take part in any illegal protest, violent actions, or overly radical behavior, they shall be immediately suspended from any activity involving flights to the mainland or even any activities related to the air transportation that's going through mainland, the China airspace, which means not just the China ports, but also some European countries, whichever will fly through the China airspace. And they even asked our company to submit some details of the crews to them. They have to approve the list, or else those crews can't be admitted to China. And the company tried to talk to the union to seek for help. It is quite special because the union would never really on the same side with our company, right? But this time we can see that the problem is not really from our company. So we thought maybe this time we need to at least cooperate a bit to help to communicate to our members that what China is going to do to us. To warn our members, maybe there will be some consequences that is bring some message to China, some sensitive information prohibited in China. So many censor. Even the crew are transiting. They're not staying in China. They need to have their phone or baggage searched by those officers from the local China authorities. This is first time ever, I can say, in so many years in Hong Kong aviation history. That's never happened before. And all these measures are so sudden, and they really put it hard to execute it to all the flights to China. Like, especially if you're staying overnight, you have to even have your body searched. If there's a male crew, he was asked to a room in the airport, and then he has to get the whole body searched by the officers. It's never happened before.
And this action by the Chinese government, do you think it's aimed not just at you, but basically destroying or weakening the unions in Hong Kong?
This destroying everyone, actually. No matter it's aiming at union or any union members. Basically, they're forbidding all the employees in Hong Kong, not just the employees in airlines, but also the employees in different industries. Because we have heard that some airport authority, they got their staff sacked because we have some protests in the airport. And the Chinese government, they don't like that. They thought, how could it happen? There should be no protest in the airport. And without any reason, the two staff were just sacked without any reason. basically it's not about targeting. It's not about targeting on the union. It's about they want to suppress the freedom of speech in Hong Kong. And we believe by attacking the union, it will have a special effect. They thought it would help to have a stronger influence to tell the people in Hong Kong that even you are the union leader, you don't have the right to speak on behalf of others. Not just about yourself, but you are just a normal Hong Kong citizen, and they think that they have all the power to control all the Hong Kong people already. They simply neglect all those justice, the system, the legal system in Hong Kong is already gone. Because obviously the Hong Kong government didn't stop anything, which is imposed by the Chinese Aviation Authority. Why the Hong Kong government never say any word? Since 10th of August, all the people already know this kind of restriction imposed by the CAAC. But there's nothing spoken by the Hong Kong government officials. They just neglect us. They don't think it is, which they just want us to follow. But they have no argument or not even any support, some statement to support the airline staff. And Cathay is a big company in Hong Kong. They got 30,000 employees. We're sure that that's why the Chinese government want to pick the airline industry, because they want to give you guys a warning that if we stop you guys by entering the Chinese airspace, that means it applies to all the Hong Kong people. Because even the passenger taking our flights, they have to be escorted by the local officers to have their phone checked. They even ask our staff to make announcement to page for that passenger, and that passenger was simply taken away by the local officers. It's really terrible, and it's so frightening. They simply want all of us to have our mouth shut. You can't say anything, not even during work, but 24 hours, no matter which platform, your whole mindset, or not just your body, but your soul, simply just have to follow what they ask you to do.
And we're speaking with Rebecca Tsai. She's with Cathay Dragon's Flight Attendants Association. She is the president, and she recently has been terminated. Did they give you any reason for your termination?
The funny thing is, they simply show me the 3 printouts of my Facebook post, which is a private account, and they just asked me one question. May I know, does this Facebook belong to you? I said yes. And they just simply announced that. So I have to proceed to the processes. I have to announce that you are immediately terminated. I asked why, because this Facebook belongs to me, then I have to be terminated. What are the reasons? They just say, sorry, I can't tell you the reason. And I warned them, now you are doing this to decide to terminate a union leader. I can tell you it's going to be a very serious matter. I'm sure all the people in Hong Kong, they will be really against this, because it's about white terror. What I do at my own time, on my own platform, whatever kind of idea I'm trying to express on my own social media, it should be my own will, and I shouldn't be restricted. But now, I didn't break any company policy, and you simply terminate me without any reason. I've been in this company for 17 years. I've never done anything wrong. And for what we're doing, we have been doing it for so long. Everyone, I'm sure, must post something on the Facebook or any other social media. We're talking about the same thing. But why things are different now? Since August or since June, because of the extradition bill. I'm sure all of the Hong Kong people, most of our staff, have been taking part in those protests, like the 1st of July, or even on the National Day or the Labor Day. We also take part. We also went to support those protests, why we were not sacked at that time. It's so obvious what you're doing now is because of what the Chinese government imposed since August.
And
because of the extradition bill, yeah.
The extradition bill, for those listeners who don't know what that is, why are you and other unions and a large number of Hong Kong people opposed to that bill?
Well, we can say most of us really don't want that bill to be passed. That's why we got 2 million people went on the street to express our idea, to express our feeling, to oppose this bill. And of course, there are also other staff to keep quiet. Because even we got the case now is some staff, they never post anything on Facebook. They're still being sacked. This is the CX pilot. It's only because he was making an announcement to tell the passenger about the protest in Hong Kong airport. He has never posted anything on the Facebook. But when he was trying to explain what's happening in the Hong Kong airport, saying that there's a very peaceful protest, and I hope the passenger arriving in Hong Kong at least will have an idea what's happening. And he didn't do anything wrong, but still he was sacked by CX.
So do you think their aim is to basically shut down any free speech, any kind of independent activity by unions and working people?
Yeah, true. Now they just want us simply to follow all the instruction that's instructed by the Chinese government. No longer talking about the Hong Kong basic law or even the Hong Kong justice or the judicial system in Hong Kong. They just simply follow what the Chinese government ordered. But it is not what Hong Kong people want. We can't believe the CX group will simply follow the order. At the beginning, we thought the resignation of our former CEO and CCO is a kind of solution. They try to make a sacrifice by resigning. Then no more staff will have to suffer. However, it's not true. After their resignation, there are still more and more, and there will be more staff being sacked by the company. Then we got a picture very clearly. The picture is they just want to keep everyone's mouth shut. There's no opposition allowed. You shouldn't say anything that's not according to their idea. They strictly follow their idea of behave yourself. You can't say anything about disagreeing any idea from the Chinese government.
Now, the Chinese government says it's socialism with Chinese characteristics. They're billionaires in the Chinese Communist Party. What are your views about, I guess individually, I don't know if the union has a position about what is the Chinese government? Is that a socialist government, or does that have that's?
Well, we have some employees based in mainland China. They're the mainlanders from Shanghai, Beijing, and Hangzhou. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when we chat at the workplace, we have some ideas to share, like about Hong Kong news, what's happening in Hong Kong. And it's very clear that they have no idea about what's happening in Hong Kong. I said, wow, actually we're just close by. We're a neighborhood, right? Hong Kong and other cities in China. Sure. How come all the media they're not covering any news about Hong Kong? And then we understand they even control their thinking. They're controlling their thinking. There's only one kind of information will be brought to those people in China. That is, anyone who is opposing the Chinese government, then they're called as enemies. They're doing something to destroy the so-called democracy in China, according to their definition, of course.
And you're
they don't have the option. We're not told the truth at all. They just simply have no idea at all what's happening in Hong Kong.
So if China, the government decides that they want to physically take over Hong Kong, what do you think the reaction of the people of Hong Kong would be to that?
Actually, most of the people, they're already planning for immigration to other places. They would rather look for someone who can give them a foreign passport. And most of them, they already think Hong Kong is dying. They will fight till the end, especially the young generation, because the young generation, for them, is the future is the most important. For us, the middle age, or even the middle age of the older elderly, they will soon no longer, the society won't have anything that they have a big influence on that. But this is for the youngsters. They still have long years to live. They're so scared and so disappointed and so upset with the current situation. They are the one who struggle the hardest to fight back.
And what are the social conditions?
Sorry, yeah.
What are the social conditions for workers in Hong Kong? I know that there have been, it's not only in Hong Kong, but in the Bay Area, people have trouble finding places to live. There are thousands of people in tents. Working people are in a very difficult situation in the United States, in the Bay Area. What is the situation for the working class in Hong Kong?
Oh, the working class in Hong Kong, they're really suffering since the Chinese government have the policy, and the Hong Kong government allowed that, is that so many Chinese immigrants coming to Hong Kong each day. And actually, they are the one to make all those housing become so expensive in Hong Kong, because they're using the money, even cash, to pay for the mortgage and even for the education and also the medical in Hong Kong are all actually consumed by the mainlanders, and the market price goes so high because the demand is from the mainlanders. But the Hong Kong people, they couldn't cope with the inflation, because they just simply couldn't afford a tiny place, which is the rent is so expensive. It's like 10 times more already when you compare to a few years ago. Unfortunately, the salary are decreasing. Even for our staff, our airline, I couldn't believe that the new joiner, the monthly salary is just like 8,000 Hong Kong dollars. When I joined my company 17 years ago, at least I got 12,000 as basic. It's so scary. For those young people with all the inflation rate, that so many things are so expensive now. The expenditure for them is they couldn't even afford a place to live. Most of them have to rely on their parents, their family, and they are so reluctant to spend extra money, like going for at least a movie or a nice dinner. Simply, they would just stay home and play online games. And all the young generation, they couldn't see the future. It's so sad. The whole Hong Kong society, the morale is so low. That's why these few months we can see how determined the young generation are and how strong they are to decide they have to stand out and to fight back.
So that you're saying that the social conditions, particularly for young people, are such that they feel they have no future the way things are going.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's fueling part of the protest. That young people have feel that they have no future. They can't get a living job and they can't get housing.
Yeah.
And what does the government say about that? They just follow the rules of the Chinese government, or what do they say about that?
For the government officials, of course, they were just making a statement and saying that, well, it is a free market. Hong Kong is always proud to be there's a free market. It's about demand and supply. They would think if you are hardworking enough, then you should be able to get what you want. But obviously, it's not true. the fact is, they couldn't compete. If talking about the money, if you compare maybe even the young people from mainland, they're so rich because of their parents. That's why they could be able to apply for the stay in Hong Kong, the residency. And these people are dominating because they are the one who are able to pay for good education, good housing, good house, and even could go to the private hospital in Hong Kong. But all the Hong Kong people have to go to the public hospital. They're already losing, the Hong Kong people, the Hong Kong young generation, they're losing the power, the ability when you have to compete with those mainlanders.
So they're becoming second-class citizens. Is that what you're...
Yes, true. Yeah. All the luxury stuff are purchased by those mainlanders, and even the food, drinks, everything in Hong Kong becomes so expensive because the big spender from mainland.
And in China itself, what are the conditions for the working class there? Because I guess gentrification, which is happening in the Bay Area and around the United States in urban areas, is also going on in China. Is the Chinese working class having similar problems?
Well, this one I'm not so sure about the Chinese working class. I'm sure there's a big gap. Also a big gap in China. The rich people becomes more rich and the poor people become poorer. Because the rich people are dominating everything.
So the disparity of wealth is growing in China as it is in the United States and around the world. It's a global situation.
The rich people, they are influencing everywhere in the world, I'm sure, not just Hong Kong.
And what can workers, trade unions do in the United States and around the world who want to support you and other workers who've been fired for political retaliation or trying to repress you with the white terror?
Actually, I got so many emails from so many different trade unions all over the world, like from UK, Belgium, and also even Turkey and even Canada. They are sending their email to show me the support and think we should do this thing to fight back in solidarity. Because it's a kind of suppressing of the freedom of speech and democracy. It is not just about my job. It's about the whole scenario in Hong Kong, the future of Hong Kong. It's too obvious and it's clearly kind of action to show that it's not easy to take away what we have now.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much for joining us on WorkWeek Radio. We've been talking with Rebecca Tsai. She is... with Cathay Dragons Flight Attendants Association. She's president of the union who has been terminated apparently for no reason, and she is fighting for her job and the right of free speech for her members and working people in Hong Kong. So thanks for joining us on WorkWeek Radio, Rebecca.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.